And here's Rachel. Hey.
Oh, cool.
You know, right? Okay.
Yeah,
On
it's
YouTube.
Oh, wait, on live.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you're live. You're on the internet.
What's going on today, Sahaj? What's the plan?
I don't know. You were going to give us an office tour.
I guess I could do that.
So I think, yeah. So we are live on YouTube. So let me just hello YouTube, episode 177 of OpenHours. This time we're back with Robert Wolff after a while. And since he's moved to ARM, it was only right that he went ahead and gave us an office tour. Although it's not the place where he actually works. This one's in Cambridge, and yeah. Oh, you didn't hear any of that then? Oh, you did.
Here. Hang on, I need to set my phone down anyways.
Okay, I'm here. So I'm going to, yeah, I guess I'll walk you guys around here real quick. So if you aren't familiar, the office, there's a new, thank you, Sahaj, by the way. There's a new setup here in the office. There's a big campus basically for ARM. It's multiple buildings, but they did just recently build this new one, which really looks like a cruise ship. It like goes all the way down the line. Hi. And I'm gonna go up to this top level here. It's divided into 4 sections, A, B, C, and D. And I don't know, I thought that it would be more interesting to show when I was pitching this to Sahaj, but it really isn't. So I'm gonna just kind of try and get a view like this from here. But this is the idea. You see?
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's
guess,
like a proper mall or something. Put a few
it
shops
looks
in
like
there.
a mall.
Yeah.
Guess what guess what number the first floor is?
0.
Yeah. So floor 0, floor 1, floor 2.
It's only fitting.
I know, right? But yeah, I guess I don't really have anything to show, to be honest. It was going to be a lot more interesting. It's literally just empty conference rooms and then this inside cruise ship looking thing. But yeah, I mean, if there's something of interest, I guess I could answer some questions about ARM, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I could give a slight announcement.
Yeah, all right.
The developer.arm.com website is going to be going through a very big transition. And in fact, I kind of want to do, I'll talk with you later, Sahaj, but I would like to do an official announcement of this like in March or April timeframe. But if you've ever been to the developer.arm.com website, you may get lost. There's really so much information there. And what we're trying to do is in the coming months, a complete facelift for the website, which will allow developers to go in there and approach it in a solutions or verticals way of thinking when you're looking at like the hierarchy of stuff a developer may be looking for. In the first phase, the idea is to say, okay, well, I'm looking at IoT space, or I'm looking at AI, ML, infrastructure, tooling, et cetera, and then breaking that down into buckets of solutions. So I'll just take infrastructure, for example. One of our buckets would be like CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So when you go into our CI/CD bucket, you'll find a bunch of solutions. One, for example, could be Travis CI. We talked to Josh Calderimis. I don't know if that was an episode we did a while back. Now Travis CI runs on ARM, right? And so this solutions page will be tailored for people who want to use Travis CI ARM. And we'll have all sorts of cool examples and things that people have already made and done with Travis CI. We'll provide a bunch of resources and documentation. And then, of course, a new forum section, which will allow people to start collaborating on there. One of the interesting things that's going to happen along with this launch is what we're calling developer activations. So we are looking for developers, people who are interested in kind of kicking off this developer program, on the ground, hitting the ground running. And so if anyone is interested in being one of our lead developers, one of the people who, wants to participate in this developer program from the beginning, I would encourage you to reach out to me. We would love to talk to you and figure out ways to tailor this experience to the people who are actually doing this stuff. And now that I think about it, a big role that people are going to play a big role in this launch are innovators from the ARM Innovator Program. And I want to officially congratulate Sahaj. It's public, right? I mean,
we got the confirmation email.
Thank you. So Sahaj is one of the newest ARM innovators.
Yay. Thank you so much, Robert, for that. That was that was amazing.
Awesome. Congratulations, Sahaj. More projects to build.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I sent to him. I'm like, Sahaj, so have you heard of Hive Cell IO?
Yeah.
Because we would really like to see some cool stuff on there. And
it's like he's sitting there in ARM and still have to follow his lead on projects.
Yeah, but they'll be fun. It's okay. Has anyone heard of Hive Cell IO by chance?
Yeah.
What is
it's been all over the place.
It has. Yeah, it's like it's these little modular edge devices with NXP chipsets in there.
Is it NXP or is it the NVIDIA Jetson CUDA ones?
Well, shoot, I thought it was NXP.
Because they do say CUDA and the specs are very strikingly similar to the Jetsons. Hive.io, was it that one?
Hivecell.io. You know what? It's probably a good thing to know here.
Oh, the Hive Cell, the stackable one.
Yeah.
Andre talks or has showcased that a couple times at the VMware booth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he had those there? I didn't get to see him.
Yeah. They've done some initial work on those.
So it says 256 GPU CUDA cores. So
yeah, they're NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I am mistaken. But yeah, still.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Some cool stuff. Yeah. Cool stuff going on there. And yeah, so it'd be interesting to see.
Talking about that, I was looking at the use cases after we had our little chat, and one of the more striking one was the oil rig. Like I've always heard oil rig is like one of those use cases where you'd least expect something like super high end, super latest technology to be, but they are so big on GPU compute. It's crazy. So every time NVIDIA launches a new top end server quadro GPU, like they sell everything and they buy new ones. It's that much profitable to them for them to have like that amount of more compute power immediately.
Wait, oil rigs? I'm in the use case section. I see hotels.
It's the first
restaurant
one,
names.
petrochemical.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, I literally just went boom right down.
Oil rigs generate a massive amount of data that they need to compute continuously.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely interesting, David. It kind of reminds me of like the modular solar panels that we were doing. Stacking that and increasing the capabilities of a system.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously much more complex. But yeah, so Sahaj, welcome to the ARM Innovator Program, and hopefully we'll get to see you in Chicago in May.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Get permissions from Yang.
Yeah.
Did I tell you I ran into him here?
No, yeah, Yang told me that. We had a sync today, so yeah, he did mention it.
Did he say anything else?
No.
Yeah. Cool. but yeah, so I mean, developer program, innovator program, moving ahead with a lot of cool things here. I've been here for a few months now, and we're finally starting to solidify the things that I'll be moving forward with. And I, of course, I've been pretty absent with open hours, and even when I join, I've been camera off, silent. But hopefully, coming up in these next few months, 2020, I do plan on being more present and more vocal. And I hope Sahaj, I'll definitely communicate this stuff with Sahaj.
Yep.
If you're able to provide the channel for cool ARM related
Always welcome.
topics,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, so I mean, that's all I have to announce. Stay tuned. I will be sharing more stuff around this in the near future once we get all of our ducks in a row and are ready to start publishing things. I'll definitely talk to Sahaj and schedule something so that we can give you some more information on the developer program and the innovator program.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine with about the website stuff, about managing such a large amount of resource. We've had issues and then we worked our way through it, and just has multiple folds of that. Both you have your silicon resources, you have your on the software side, you have that stuff. Yeah, it's good that that's being improved over the time.
Yeah, so I mean, in general, the idea here is we really want to look at the software ecosystem and find ways to catalyze, assist, enable, catalyze developers who are working on ARM. And I think that over time, of course, this will be perfected. But from the get-go, we're looking for a nice way out the door to provide a large amount of resources in a nice, compact, and cohesive manner. It's very similar, actually, when I look at 96Boards and when I first got to 96Boards.
Yeah, I was about to ask you how different it is to work there versus at Lenaro. That is, if you can openly talk about it.
I mean, I can talk about a lot of stuff. I should say, everything I talk about, of course, these are my own opinions.
Yeah.
I'm not talking as any sort of representation at all. This is just me, Robert Wolff, as a person. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I can't complain. It's been a lot of fun getting to know people and being part of a big company, comparatively speaking to Lenaro, being hundreds of people versus thousands of people. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun and I'm still getting to know people. I will be able to, of course, provide more updates regarding the things that I've experienced later, because these last few months have been a lot to do with like onboarding, getting familiar with who you're working with, and just basically like joining any new company. You want to get to know your teams and you want to get to know the people you're working with, except on just a bit of a larger scale. So yeah, I mean, shoot, like just make a lot of new friends,
Yeah.
find out who's doing what and how you can help each other out and collaborate, for the betterment of technology, the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And our developers.
So I wanted to ask, do you have any hold, or are you working with the design start side of things as well? I had one very important question to ask.
The design start stuff?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, so I'm very much focused on developer stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. This is more in reference to like, so I mean, I guess the way I break it down is like three parts, right? Like you have SoC design, you have hardware design, and then you have software design, right? Or software development. So those three parts, I am more heavily weighted, in fact, possibly totally weighted towards the software ecosystem and the software side of things. Enablement for ARM. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My only question is so they provide the Cortex M0 and Cortex M3 design free of cost for testing. And you can like download them, use it on your FPGAs. I've done actually an article about it, a video about it that got published on Hackaday as well. What I'm curious about is the Cortex A5 ever going to go free? Because right now it says lower cost access fee, but they still don't say how much. So I'm just guessing it's like contact us kind of a thing, which is fine. But I think there was some rumors about that going free as well. So I was just wondering if that's a thing.
Yeah, I think it was, what was it, during TechCon,
Yeah.
when they announced that list of IP that they were going to offer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I know is what you know is what I know there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, stay tuned for further announcements, I guess. That's all I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
is that same list.
So David W just says that sounds really exciting. Let's kick off an arm for automotive, autonomous, and mobility vehicle effort in Detroit in May.
So, I mean, that's definitely something that, can start the conversations with the folks from the Innovator Program. And Sahaj now, who is an innovator, can hopefully maybe catalyze that engagement, and we can all start looking. I mean, there's definitely lots of opportunity and possibilities. So we'll have to look into that, and we can talk on Discord. David, you're in there, so we can of course open up a chat. I should open up a. You're gonna leave? Okay, bye, Louise. Yeah, I'm allowed to tell them that, right? It's in Chicago. Louise said, make sure they know it's in Chicago.
Bye, Louise.
David says bye. Everyone says bye. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, then I won't see you again. 1 second, real quick mute. 1 second.
Yeah.
Back to Sahaj.
Hey, it's A13 on the call says, "Hey, the whole team is back."
What happened?
A13's
A13?
on. Yeah, he's on the YouTube live chat.
Yeah, what were we talking about a second ago? The
Chicago.
Discord.
The Discord. You should create a channel for.
automotive.
Oh yeah, we should create a channel for the Innovator Summit.
The Detroit event, Robert. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, so
Sure.
so I think it would be nice if we created a channel for the Innovator Summit, and then that way we can at least use it for communicating things that are around the Innovator Summit, be it before or after or during the summit. It's going to be exciting. So yeah, I mean, I'd like
Robert,
to.
is that what you're in Chicago for, the Innovator Summit? Is that okay? I didn't realize. Wow.
Yeah, so David will be there. I hope Sahaj will be there. A large handful of other innovators will be there, and it should be fun. There's a whole summit prepared for the innovators.
What are the dates on that?
4 through 6 May.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of us inviting external guests in for this. So it's not out of the question. Maybe I could talk to Louise or something and say, hey, David's been a big part of this ecosystem for a while now, and it might be worthwhile to at least explore that.
Well, I got to spend a little time here in preparation for your visit and Sahaj's visit following that event. But if I could get everything squared away, yes, possibly. That's intriguing, man. It really is, because it's so close. It's like a 19-minute flight or a 4-hour drive or whatever. It's close. You're here,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool.
And when you're out in that area of the world, you might as well, explore. May is going to be good weather too, right? And I've never been to Chicago, or Detroit for that matter. May should be nice and warm. Yes, Sahaj, we might want to explore that. When you go through the booking process with Louise, if you're sometimes flights might be cheaper if you add a few days at the end. And I mean, like, marking that out.
Yeah, I think the
Chicago's, an awesome city. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. I've spent, enough time there. My wife is from there, so there's plenty to do. I would also say, though, that it's quick enough to get from there over to Detroit or Ann Arbor, where David is based, and Ed Vilmetti is in Ann Arbor also. So if you're doing any driving, self-driving or any of that kind of stuff, you might want to just pop over there.
Well, so that's actually a good point. You'll be there, right, David, in Chicago?
Yeah, I'll go to Chicago. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like, we might be able to just book like a few extra days, like as in like expand the flight for a few extra
Yeah,
days,
I might.
and then I'll rent a car and we can all drive over there.
Yeah, and I might. So I need to talk it over, and we can discuss it totally offline as well. But I might do the exact same event or workshop that we're doing at Phoenix IoT Dev Fest. I may try to run some sessions there on the Brina side of things in Chicago, since we'll already be there, and that's a big, a big tech hub as well. So yeah, I may try to spend a few extra days and do some day job stuff as well.
Yeah, on that note, yeah, David, I think we are able to talk about it publicly. Um, David and I are sort of it's mostly been David's been mostly working on it, but we're trying to get Brina working on the 14 Sea.
Oh yeah,
So,
you can speak
yeah,
about it publicly. It's strictly
yeah,
there's nothing formal
yeah,
about it. I just want to see it. I mean, it's mostly an experiment to see if we can make it happen.
yeah.
And if you want to,
We
if
were
there's
able to nail down what the issue was. We're just working our way around it. It's a very weird issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation if there's other stuff about Innovator or if there's other self-driving or anything else. But
Go on.
if, if there's, what am I trying to say? Yeah, if there's any interest in helping out from the community, we're attempting to build Brina OS and enable the Dragon Board 410 Sea, just because it would be interesting and open up again, kind of crossover joint community effort.
I'm excited about, maybe, David, has anyone talked about the IoT Dev Fest?
Not on this call. Again, it's Sahaj's show. I don't want to steal the.
Go on. It was just going to be Robert showing off the office. Then he cut it short.
I didn't know if Sahaj you had other stuff.
He told me it's just a huge office. I can take a whole episode and then.
I said that before I got here.
I was like, wait, I don't know if Sahaj is doing a demo or something. I didn't want to hijack it. Yeah, so Robert and I are going to run a pair of workshops at the Phoenix IoT Dev Fest, which is January 25th. And that is a single day, all day event, all verticals represented, across the IoT, from hardware, from software, from industry. But specifically, Robert and I are going to run hands-on labs that are an introduction to Brina fleet management and pushing containers to your first device. So it's a guided, handheld 2-hour experience of, signing up for the Brina cloud, enrolling the device, building your first application, pushing that application over the air to a Pi, and then scaling up from there. So it's a really good introduction to IoT. And so ARM is gracious and is helping sponsor some of the hardware kits, and Brina will sponsor some of the hardware kits. Hopefully we should be able to get about 60 or so people across 2 sessions. So it's going to be a cool event. And then in the morning, I think we'll probably do afternoon sessions is what it sounds like. But there's other talks, other workshops, other activities going on. So it's a cool event.
Do you have a link for that?
Robert, what is that? I think it's AIoT Dev.
It's in the Discord.
Is it? Yeah, it's in there.
There's a Discord channel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Robert and I
had
had been.
coffee.
Yeah, Robert and I had been discussing it literally this week, just locking down the final details. So we haven't actively promoted it yet, just because I mean, I think we're at the point where we're almost done planning and whatnot. I'll get with you offline, Robert, for the hardware stuff, but
Yeah, that's I think the last part because we've already
Yeah.
pretty much secured everything else.
yeah. Well, the last thing I heard was from Rex with a little bit of just some slight concerns. So I was going to just circle back with you to see if all of that was squared away or not, but we can talk later.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways, I think once we reach 100% approvals and consensus and everything is good, then we can make some more noise about it. But we're 99% of the way there, so good enough.
Yeah. Cool. So the CF call for papers deadline is tomorrow. For Linaro Connect. And
I'll be submitting one.
Yeah, me too. I've just forgotten to submit one. So I have a talk planned. I have everything planned. I just got the email today. Tomorrow's the last day. All right, I'll submit that. So yeah, I'll add the link in the chat as well.
Oh, so Haj,
Yeah.
are you looking into A13 as a guest? Because if not, I would like to look into that. I mean, I don't know, like what do we got to do? Because it would be really cool to have him at the conference.
Yeah.
Have you? I don't know if you've already explored it or anything.
So yeah, I have to write an email to Christine then. I'll do that today and I'll let you know.
Oh, sorry about that.
What sort of the reply from the other end. If not, then you can.
Yeah, if you're not able to, like figure something out, just let me know.
Yeah.
And then at least that way I can start exploring it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll grab a seat over here now.
So yeah, there has been some interesting updates on the. I'm just going through some news stuff I had in mind from the 96Boards end. There has been some interesting updates on the RB3 platform. HDMI audio is working now apparently in Android, which is a big step. And there is going to be some good effort put in from what I've heard to make the HDMI driver much more stable. Right now if it's finicky, very few displays actually work, and we are moving towards making that properly work. Yeah, although my personal time spent on that board has been uh, reduced a lot. These days I'm sort of working with Mani, who is completing his sort of a end last project for us for 96Boards, since he has moved on to the Qualcomm team. And so we are working on a camera mezzanine project which will stream 4 cameras at once, and we are integrating it into the Ultra 96 so that everything can be done on the FPGA and it can be done fast. So we'll take 4 streams parallelly, do our AI and OpenCV stuff on that parallelly, everything in hardware, and once that's done, that can be spit out for inferencing. So that's sort of the goal there. So I don't have the camera mezzanine now. The new ones we've been working on. As soon as I get them, I can show it to you all. They are actually very high-end cameras used in proper automotive grade stuff, like actual car companies use it. And yeah, interesting stuff I've been working on.
Yeah, I've been curious about what's been going on with the RB3.
Yeah.
I saw it in Japan at the Tech Symposia, and they were showing it off at the Thundersoft booth.
Yeah. We're still working on with Arrow to get it on there.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully that goes through soon. There's a new version of A20C. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Haven't.
So so the A20C is being revived. It's going to be much more expensive. It's going to come around at $400. And the reason it was so that one there's one eMMC that was heavily subsidized by Qualcomm, and a few other stuff that were heavily subsidized. That EMC is not being produced right now. No one's using it. So Arrow is using. So it was a UFS before. I think I said eMMC. So now Arrow is using another eMMC, and non-subsidized bits that are a fair bit expensive than the bomb cost that they were getting earlier. And so there was a moment in between where there were around 50-ish boards that were at the original cost with the original spec, and only a few people got a handful of them. I think Adam Servinsky just got his hand on one. And so yeah, I'm not talking about those. These are completely new board, different, a bit of different hardware. So we are still working out with Arrow to get a complete list of differences between all of them. And once that's done, I will be able to share what all changed, and we will be able to improve the software. There's actually a fair bit of interest from the Qualcomm landing team as well to get hands on those. They had some pending work with the on the A20 platform they wanted to finish. So that's nice.
It was my understanding. I thought that they were not going to continue supporting the 820.
Well, that's just because there were no units left. Only very few people ever got it. And with these new units coming in, I have talked to Nico about it, and they are saying that they are interested to finish off some of the work that was left. I'm
Oh,
not
that's cool.
I'm not sure about like full on like Debian build support tests and make like some stable builds. I'm not sure about that. But as from the kernel side of things, there are a few things they wanted to still upstream and make sure that works.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Apart from that, I don't know, Robert, if you've heard, I have started a bit of upstreaming on Zephyr, since I don't get money cycles as much.
Oh,
Um,
oh, are you following in Manny's footsteps though?
no, I don't want to. I want to make I want to make projects, and that's the issue. It's like the only time I actually end up doing upstreaming now is that I have no other option left. Is that like the hardware won't work? I have to do it. Um, yeah. So I did the entire Zephyr upstreaming. I still have to push it, but I did the entire Zephyr upstreaming for the Aero Core too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. It's it's quite the interesting work doing upstreaming stuff.
Yeah.
I've never gone into that world.
It's yeah, at one point it can also get a bit you know judgmental.
Yeah, but I've heard that's just kind of their natural. That's how they talk
I
normally.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
It
let it.
is.
Don't let it hurt. Don't let it hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Because
I've never I've not reached that point yet. It's like after a level. It's like if you're being heavy, if your code's being judged heavily, then you've made it.
the right people are looking at it at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any updates on Monty? Monty doesn't join open hours anymore, does he?
No, because his team meeting is on like at the same time.
I
So
bet you he asked for that. He was like, hey guys, we got to do our team meeting during open hours. The only hour that I'm available.
I'm booked for the rest of the hours. Yeah.
Oh, Monty.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's for next week? Since
Uh,
I won't mess it up next week because it won't be me.
so it's probably going to be more drone updates because that is what I'm going to work. I Next week I have a target. I needed to fly, and that's it. I really wanted to fly, and hopefully I can get some cool demos.
And you're doing this with the STM32?
Yeah.
Just the STM32, nothing else, no
No,
baseboard.
not none yet. So I don't want the baseboard or anything running non-real-time stuff to control the drone itself. I want all the robotics to happen on a real-time platform, and there will be a baseboard. It will do all the imaging and anything that's not related to directly controlling the board. So if there's any mapping to be done, stuff like that.
Nice. Very nice.
So Haj, what kind of controller are you using, and what kind of range will you have on that? Are your flight tests
So
going to be?
I'm really confused about that. That's sort of the point I have been going back and forth in my mind as to what I have to use at this point. I really don't want to use the PWM radio. I want it to be all digital from the get-go. So I'm planning something that does serial to like UR2 radio or stuff like that. But then you have devices that don't have a lot of range in them. So yeah, I'm still searching for it. What I'd really like is one of those radio devices that have like a kilometer or two of range, but they just do serial and like are configured over AT commands. I think I got a pair, and it turns out they only talked. They did use serial interface, but they didn't like use the regular TTY stuff. So that was a bit difficult. I have a smaller drone. I think I can show you guys in a second. That uses a UART to Bluetooth module, so it's TTY direct, and it works fine. I want something simple like that. Someone, if it has hardware encryption, even better. Otherwise, we'll use software encryption of some sort. But yeah, I don't want to use the PWM stuff.
I mean, that's really exciting, Sahaj. At least from my understanding, if you're starting to get into a kilometer in this kind of area where you don't have to have line of sight, and with your low level of latency, I'm not aware of anything like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still looking into it. I'm not sure which way I'll go. It might even end up that I have to make my own board that basically translates PWM to TTY. And the reason I'm going to do it is, first of all, Zephyr doesn't have a proper driver for PWM input. A lot of RTOS don't. Although the board has like PWM input pins dedicated to it, and PX4 uses that. So I just want to make a platform that's all digital from the beginning. And right now the motor controllers are not. They are still PWM, and yeah, that's something that would be needed to redesign. So we are planning to do some sort of a full proper drone mezzanine or a drone board thing, and I have some ideas to pitch in. So very soon I'll probably have a blog out, which basically is a rant kind of a thing about everything that's not digital on the drone DIY side, and which should
Could it,
be.
David, couldn't some of this work be applied to the stuff that you guys are doing with the cars?
Yeah.
Totally, Robert. You also just read my mind. I mean, the system doesn't care whether it's aerial or terrestrial, ground-based,
Yeah.
whatever. This is just, it'll definitely be part of the keynote speech for the event in Detroit.
Yeah.
I think he signed you up for a
Have you-
keynote, Saj.
I'm all in. David, have you ever seen on AliExpress or some places those 50,000 RPM racing cars?
50,000.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
just crazy expensive, but they have like 120 amp ESC on them, single big motors with like heat sinks.
Mhm.
all Metal Gears. I was getting kind of geeked on them, and then I was like, I cannot buy them because I we don't have roads to run them on.
Yeah, they don't really need a road. A good high school gym, and you can go pretty fast. Any kind of flat open space. I happen to have built mine on an old, outdated touring car chassis, TC4 it's called. But there's YouTube guys that run that up to 300 kilometers an hour on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
stretch of that. And it's funny you should mention this also because but with the local high school and this cybersecurity institute that I've been working with, they're so stoked about these cars and all this. And we've just been going primarily like with Chris Anderson's donkey car racing kind
Hmm.
of environment on the track. But now he's like, well, why don't we take something and run it around the perimeter of this high school, which is 0.9 miles, or we can literally use, he's opened up their track and field track. Which has stands and so on and so forth. So this notion of going farther is and faster is totally there, and I could very easily see carving that into something when you guys come out for the visit too, something kind of epic. So and of course we also have here the American Center for Mobility, which is a former bomber plant from World War II, but that's where Toyota and a lot of these people converted it to a big autonomous vehicle testing facility,
Mm.
which means it's got a big fat wide open track, and nobody that's playing around is playing around with higher speeds,
Yeah,
trying to get the basics going. But, obviously with an RC or otherwise chassis like that, the sky's the limit, whatever.
there's a F1 track nearby, about an hour or two from where I live, and what I've heard is they usually let you drive your own car on that for a fairly reasonable price. I was wondering if they'd let me take my RC car there and
I'm
just
sure they
like
would. Yeah, I'm sure they would. And I mean, you guys are probably familiar with the Robo Race series. Nvidia's got a car, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. And they're
yeah,
still
yeah.
trying to work it out. But what I always thought it was kind of intriguing is that, I mean, and they're definitely still working things out. They don't have multi-cars with passing or any of that yet. They're still just trying to get a bigger car around the track fast. But again, coming back to what we were talking about earlier, it doesn't matter if it's the drone or a car chassis. What occurred to me is there's an inevitable crossover point coming in this whole donkey car kind of space as they get faster and faster. And they're already pushing the boundaries of what you can do inside. In fact, they've really already kind of hit it. So you're adding things like putting a cone in there and object detection in different scenarios and just starting to work on the passing. But my point was that with these small cars that can reach such incredible speeds, it's kind of inevitable at some point, depending on where Robo Race sees things, but that somebody shows up with a smaller one and says, hey, I'll run this against your multi-million-dollar unit, let's go. So, and we're knocking on that door here in this conversation, which is
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah, one of the things I really want to tackle sometime soon is all of the drone people and even the car racing community. If they have camera on board, it's usually going to be one of the AV ones because of the latency. Uh, I I think there should be a solution that is somewhat digital but still gives you like a decent quality high definition image, because the AV one, like, sure, it's real time but the image quality isn't like super nice. um and yeah, I was just wondering what would be like the solution for that, because at the end I had this crazy idea for a drone which is basically, I mean, that probably already exists, but the latencies on that is going to be so bad. You have your VR headset and then you're basically controlling the drone, as you are in the sky in your VR. But with VR, with all the nausea happening, is all linked to the amount of latency there is between your actions and what you actually see and what you actually feel. And I was just wondering what way should we go to make that all digital but also super low latency. So yeah, that was sort of it. Oh, my small drone. I will just quickly get it. I have to I have to remove my headphones for that, so I won't be able to hear you guys.
I'll
Um,
take over.
yeah. Next thing
All right.
I know I'm kicked out of the channel.
You've been hacked. Yeah, so open hours, huh? Pretty cool. I'm kidding. I'm not going to take over. I don't really have anything else to add at the moment, but I am excited that Sahaj has turned this into a lot more technical discussion. All these demos and cool stuff he's been doing. Let's see what he's got here. No, don't take your time.
What were you talking about, Robert?
I was just saying how it's really cool how you turned open hours into a technical discussion, more technical stuff. I really like that.
I would still like to go much more deep into the hardware.
Bruno's rooting for smoke.
Oh God. I hope not, because this one was working. It wasn't flying, but it was working. So let's see. So this is the
Let's
one.
see some smoke.
Here, let's see some smoke, Sahaj. Come on.
Yeah. Once I make my RC car with the 5,000 50,000 RPM motor, then we'll do a proper burnout, and it will not be from the batteries. So yeah, so this is the it's called the Nebula 7. It's actually like a pre-built drone, but you can get it as a kit on AliExpress and stuff like that. um One of the fans is broken, and the reason it is that the clip on the fan's not wasn't good, so it just flew off and it broke, so I won't be able to fly it, but I can spin it up a bit. So connecting the battery, and let's hope for um some decent noise and no smoke. So that turned on. And again, so this is the one I'm talking about. There is the blinking light you can see is the Bluetooth to UART converter. That's the HC05. And on the other hand, there's no sock. It's an FPGA, so it's all on FPGA. It's all written in Verilog. And like I didn't create like a CPU or anything. It's actual hardware that's um, doing the stuff. So I have a app. So the other thing I want to do is create an app for controlling drones that does it over serial. Right now I just use a RC car app. It's the same one I've been actually using for the Carbon rover. um, and I can just select connect to car HC05, and it connects. So now it's connected to the to my phone, and I can spin it up a little bit and hope the fan doesn't fall off. So there you go. It has quite a decent amount of lift to it, but yeah, since one of the fans is just a dud, you probably couldn't hear anything I said there because of the fan. But yeah, I hope one of the fan was fine and I could fly it. But for now, yeah, it was interesting making all of this in FPGA. It's still using the older standard of PWM, so that's 1 millisecond to 2 millisecond. I really want, since it's an FPGA, I really wanted to try to hit the um, the 5 millisecond to 25 millisecond one, which is like called the multi-shot, and so I wasn't able to do that for some reason. So I think I'll try again. But yeah, I'm happy it's working. And
So, Harsh, you should definitely do an episode on this when you do figure it out. I mean, PWM is an interesting thing to begin with, but the whole FPGA thing is, I'm sure, new territory for most of us.
yeah, so yeah, I'll do a episode. So the idea was to use one of the new Gowin based boards, which is like $5 FPGA board, and I can easily fit this design on it. That's 1,000 plus LUT FPGA, and my design fits in around 200 to 300 LUTs. So that's going to be fine. But I ended up breaking that board. It's soft-ish brick. It will require a hardware mod to fix it. So I still have the board somewhere. I have to unpack all the stuff and figure out where exactly I kept the board. It's in one of the boxes. Um, and Yeah, once that's out, and if I have reprogrammed it, yeah, I'll show it, and I'll show the code as well.
Just out of interest, what is MultiShort compared to normal? I mean, you said it had a slightly different time span.
It has a very low time span, and as per the definition of multi-shot, what the micro is supposed to do is update only when it gets a rising edge on the signal, on the PWM signal. So there's always like a synchronous, there's always a sync between when the PWM value is being updated by the ESC and when it actually receiving the PWM signal. Because in D short and in one shot, what used to happen is that PWM signals would come and go, and the micro would only update at its own pace. And multi-shot doesn't do that. But since we are doing it on FPGA, it will always update as soon as there is um, update in the multi-shot value. So it's like a single cycle design I have there. So it's always going to update the PWM value. Yeah, so tighter timings, better control, that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
Right, so I guess we're almost at the top of the hour. Unless anyone else had stuff to say, I will close it out and we'll move on to after hours if people want to stay back and talk a bit more. Um, so you have around about 10 seconds if you want to say anything else.
Thanks, Sahaj, very much for listening to me ramble. And thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and
If
thanks
you
for
do,
joining. Yeah.
one last thing is that,
Yeah.
most of these people here are on Discord, but if you do have any questions about the developer program, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you have any feedback or comments or concerns about how we plan on doing these, we'd love to listen. So, let me know. I'll be there active. So,
Right.
yeah,
So
thank you.
here's the Discord link for the developer ecosystem channel for ARM that Robert has created, and I will also paste the Discord link for 96 boards.
Yeah, there is an ARM channel in there, but this is for the greater developer ecosystem. So you can reach out to me privately. It's Fixer, FIXXXER, I think.
All right. Bye everyone on YouTube. I'm closing this down. Hope to see every one of you next week as well. Hopefully with some more exciting demos on my end. Bye. Let's see. Stop stream.